more apples if we bake something together. I have a plan for some of my apples.
Yes, please, please,
Okay,
man,
okay.
please.
We need to
I'm so excited. Oh,
we need to
I'm
find
going right now.
we need to find a time in my schedule where I can. I would love to.
Yes,
I also need to work on my applesauce recipe.
yes.
Sorry,
That
I'm
can
sorry
also
for
be a
like.
thing. What'd you say? What'd you say, Felix?
Sorry for interrupting out of
No,
nowhere.
you're totally no. What are you talking about? You're fine. No, I'm so offended and I hate you, Felix.
Oh, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay.
cat visible, by the way.
Huh?
Huh?
Wow, cat.
What?
Cat.
Cat? Where?
Can you
Cat.
believe?
I'm
Can you
showing
believe?
May. May's
Oh,
here.
buddy.
So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Wait,
so
which cat is that? May.
No.
She's one of the little ones I rescued from a neighbor's yard. She lives.
These questions are honestly so mind-numbing. It's like a food worker is washing his hands in a food preparation sink. He has a colander of vegetables to wash next. Is this the appropriate sink to wash his hands in? And the obvious answer is no, because he should wash his hands in the hand washing sink.
Yeah, obviously.
That's how all
I
these fucking
think
questions are.
okay, I have washed my hands over the dishwashing sink only because at Jeans the hand washing sink was regularly broken and there was no other option.
Wow, you're putting pathogens in the water.
Yes, I love doing that. Um okay, so I tried to move closer to where the Wi-Fi is in hopes that oh no. Hello? Hello?
Buddy.
Of course, I'm gonna put this in bed.
I have no room to talk because I have already seen it live, so.
Okay,
I've
guys,
seen
guys,
these. I've
question.
seen. Sorry, what do you? Hold on, who's speaking?
Was
Is
I calling this a slur again?
true.
Oh,
Uh I had a question. What was it? Oh yeah, I tried to move closer to the Wi-Fi a little bit in hopes that maybe it makes it more clear, but also I have a lot of tabs open, so I don't know what that's gonna do. Also, how do I change the description of... How do I change the name of a live stream?
Okay, so you're gonna want to open your stream manager.
No idea what
What
that
you do
is.
in Twitch.
I just
Okay,
realized I'm hungry. That's fun.
are you logged into your Twitch account in your browser?
Yes. Well, it's actually on my phone.
Something with report to your manager.
It's on your what?
Phone.
Tired.
Let me check real quick to see if you can access this on phone.
I have
I'm
one
not
viewer.
sure you can.
Hello, viewer. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm on the desktop now. What do I do now? Is it video producer?
I'm not gonna let you change the title.
Huh? Hello? I figured it out.
Set the title.
So
Um,
ready to finish.
unfortunately, it's lagging really bad over Discord. I don't know if people were talking just now.
There's a
My
banjo
friend is
player
literally
running
at a
a mushroom
Mitski
hat.
concert right now.
My friend is literally at a Mitski concert right now.
I think your
In
roommates.
Sacramento?
I have no idea where it is, but Mitski can only be in one place at a time.
That's what they
I'm
want you to
in
think.
Sacramento now, and my friend in Berkeley.
Okay, I think we're solid. I think
No,
we're
that's
chilling.
September. No, that's today. Oh, I guess they're in Berkeley then.
Ah, please no. Okay.
Third your stream title. I sent.
Huh? Okay. I can barely hear you guys over Discord. It's like breaking up hella bad. I think I figured out the stream title thing.
Sorry, Felix, I missed it on Instagram.
Okay.
I think I figured out the stream title. It's not that important at this point,
Oh,
but also I can like barely hear you guys.
That sucks.
Yeah.
damn.
Okay. So I think we're chilling. I'm going to try to inch closer to the Wi-Fi thing. Oh hey, we got a bot. Hello bot. Hi. Welcome in. The only reason why I know that for a fact is because they said, "Hello mate, you stream pretty cool." That's why I followed. I would love to be a fan of yours. If you mind, add me on Discord. Which, there is no one who would witness the last 5 minutes.
One ball ass message.
There's like no way anyone who witnessed the last couple minutes would say that I stream good. That's just dead
Yeah.
giveaway. Okay, I'm trying to scoot closer. Are you guys ready for today's research?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bow out because I do have a game, but I hope you have very fruitful research time.
Yeah, chef. I hope you have a good game.
Thank you. Bye bye. Love you.
Bye. Mwah.
Byron.
Mwah.
Okay.
Ew, I feel like I just got kissed as well. I feel so violated.
Okay. So, I'm going to clear through the last of these papers that I pulled up earlier today. I'll talk about my decision-making process as I get rid of them, and then we are going to go back to this page. By the way, this is not how you should organize papers when you are doing this type of research. This is just how I do it. Copying and pasting the links into a Google Doc is not what I should have been doing. What I would recommend people doing is popping them into some sort of automatic bibliography generator or citation generator, so that way you can have them alphabetized and you can also take notes on it. The reason why I did this is mainly
I'm
just
sorry, what did you
because...
say? I felt like I also got
Huh?
kissed. I feel so
That's that. Separate conversation.
Wait, what? I'm so sorry. I didn't hear what you guys just said. What's going on? Hello? Mr. Obama? Are you guys saying words? Because I can't hear any words.
I don't think anyone
no.
said anything.
Okay, whatever was said, like,
Is there gas leak in your house?
hey babe, is there a gas leak in this house? I think that's a no.
I love
Okay.
a good gas leak.
So, did you guys hear what I said at least? Or do you want me to restate it?
Do dishes.
Hello?
Hello.
What?
Did you guys hear what I said?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to restate it?
What did you say?
Okay then. I was talking about how this way of organizing research is not how you should do it. Copying and pasting links into a Google Doc is not like a neat or effective way or organized way of, doing this first preliminary process. What you should do is be inputting.
Yeah, literally.
Huh? What you should be doing, what makes it easier in the long term, is to input it into an automatic bibliography generator or a citation generator and add notes according to why you're selecting these. The main reason why I just dumped these is because I was kind of in a rush last night and I was just like, I'm just going to set these aside. But what I'm going to end up doing is reopening all of these and then doing that process. I'm going to be taking brief notes and organizing, like, is this related to this keyword or is it related to that keyword? Because I found all of these based off of my first search query, which was about student organizing tactics, they're all going to have something common in that sense, but some of them have to do with disability activism, some of them have to do with the history of student organizing, etc., etc. So they're all going to be used in my literature review to make slightly different points. Does everyone know what a literature review is?
Yes.
Okay, would anyone like a refresher?
You can give the Spark Notes version
Okay, so
for those in the audience.
so I mentioned earlier a bibliography. A bibliography and a literature review are common in one sense, in that you are taking research, like papers, or, I mean, it doesn't have to be research. It just has to be things that you're citing.
Oh god, finally finished. Sorry.
Congrats! I'm talking about what a bibliography is and what a lit
I
review
got
is.
90%.
Yippee! Bro is certified.
Yeah,
So
I'm so tired.
basically what a bibliography is going to be is like a works cited page, but under each citation you have notes on it. You not only summarize it, but you also highlight important elements of that as it relates to your research. It's basically like, as you go along the research process, you take notes of each paper, like, hey, this talks about how parental education levels impact the education attainment of the children. This one talks about how maybe drug use in parents impacts the educational attainment of children, something like that. That would be a bibliography. What a literature review is, I mean, it is kind of what it says in the title. You are reviewing the existing literature around your research topic, and it usually, this is placed at the beginning of your paper, after the abstract and introduction, basically setting the groundwork and catching the audience up to speed on what you're about to be covering. So, for example, my topic is how do student activist organizations operate? So what my literature review is going to be talking about is that question. What is the existing literature on this topic? What research already exists covering how student activist organizations work? And then what I'm going to do is not just summarize each paper in the literature review, but connect them, build a network of saying, okay, there are these 3 papers I'm going to cite, and each of them prove specific, or each of them can be applied to a specific theory within this topic. So maybe these, just gonna make something up, maybe these first 2 papers cover how outreach is conducted, both digitally and in person. Maybe these 2 talk about the history of student activist organizations before the internet and after the internet. Maybe these 3 talk about I don't know, how non-student activist organizations operate and develop, and I'm going to connect them all in reference to my research topic. So that's what I'm building right now. That's what a literature review is. And in order to do that, I need to survey the literature. I need to see what's out there and analyze it. Now, it turns out, based on the research that I did last night, the very brief readings, and the research that I tried to do this morning, there aren't many studies that I can find that actually look at how student activist organizations organize themselves. There are papers on the mental health outcomes of being a student activist. There's papers on how being a student activist impacts teachers, like if you're formerly a student activist and then you become a teacher, how that impacts you. There's ones talking about the history of student organizing. But in terms of the mechanics of how these structures are built and developed, I can't find a lot right now. So I'm going to keep pressing on that tonight and try to look into it and see what I can find. I also reached out to one of the librarians on my campus through the chat thing. I was like, hey, this is my question. And they're basically like, give me a minute. And then I gave them my email and I just checked. They still haven't gotten back to me, so I guess it's probably being elevated to another researcher because I thought this would be an easy topic. I forgot that I'm the one selecting the topic, so of course it's not easy. This was going to be my safe topic, but I'm a fool. So we're just going to keep trudging along. What I'm going to do is go through these last couple papers I pulled up earlier, set them aside, and then I'm going to go through, open all these links again, do a second pass, summarize what they're about, maybe take some brief notes on them. I might even put some of these into a citation generator. The problem is I kind of want to keep looking until I find, out of these, I think there were 2, maybe 3 papers that were really relevant to what I'm talking about, directly relevant, and I'm not super satisfied with that. I would like to get better articles, but this is what I got so far. So let's get started. So this one is something that I might reference, but it does not qualify for the literature review section because it is not a peer-reviewed study or a peer-reviewed article in a journal. This is just a pamphlet, basically, or a book. But for those of you who aren't looking at the screen, Student and Youth Organizing, 2nd edition, a youth liberation pamphlet. This was from April of 1977, so again, not directly relevant or up to date with what I'm looking at, but it can serve as historical context at the very least. I'm interested in reading it for my own reasons. The abstract, this pamphlet for high school and college students, explains group action techniques for organizing responses to unfair educational or community policies. Focus is on problems of the urban and suburban school student. It is designed to help students overcome problems of inexperience which can hamper sincere group expression. 7 chapters discuss specific aspects of organizing. Chapter 1 discusses how and why to plan a strategy before beginning to organize. Through knowledge of the issues stressed, thorough knowledge of the issues is stressed. Various tactics outlined in Chapter 2 include building a power base, leafleting, threatening the people in power, picketing, and appealing to the goodwill of people, petitioning. Chapters 3 and 4 suggest ways of organizing small groups and student unions and define needed skills such as fundraising, mimeographing, power structure research using media, contacting lawyers, and running meetings. Selection of issues through student pooling is discussed in Chapter 5, followed by examples of issues based on ageism and sexism in Chapter 6. Repression, apathy, transience, and racial and class divisions are among the problems reviewed in Chapter 7. To illustrate certain points, examples are drawn from successful and non-successful student experiences. The pamphlet concludes with an annotated bibliography of 22 related books and magazines. So this is really close to what I'm talking about because it's creating an outline of student organizing. However, it is not directly relevant because not only is it from 1977, which precludes a lot of the current technology that we have available in terms of social media, but also because it is a guide and not necessarily a study done on what's in practice. It's saying that it references successful and non-successful ones, so it'll be useful in my research. But again, not exactly what I'm looking for. By the way, the reason why I'm doing copy URL here and not just copying this one is because these tend to be more permalinks, which won't, like, sometimes the URL here is tied to being logged into your university. So if you try opening it again later and you're off campus or you didn't log in first, it just doesn't pull the thing. So unless you have the title handy, you might have just lost that paper. So again, not directly relevant, but I'll read it. Now this one just looked interesting. Because I want to go into education, this seems interesting. It is a journal. It is, I assume, peer-reviewed because it's in an academic journal. And it's from 2023. The title is The Fascists Are Coming, Teacher Education for When Right-Wing Activism Micro-Governs Classroom Practice. Now this is fascinating because I want to go into education, and that shit's cool. The main thing that isn't relevant is because this is for teachers, not students. It's not for activists. It's for people in an educational space, like in a position of power, and also it's specifically about math, I think. But anyways, U.S. educational reform is often the harbinger of global demands on mathematic education practices globally. It behooves teacher education to catch up on current trends, hopefully to stave off the worst of the fascist tendencies of contemporary politics of education. Past foci on research-based best practices and mathematics for all, grounded in liberal multiculturalism, confirming expectations from critical mathematics education scholarship, have become the targets of activists and politicians, turning once exemplary teachers and their students into casualties. The 4 phases of career are employed to study this phenomenon and to identify strategies and tactics for teacher education program. The career methodology indicates that the content of such programs must reduce time devoted to evidence and research-based practice in order to accommodate techniques and knowledge bases for the recognition of right-wing tactics, clowning, slogan parody, and political organizing. Teacher education must further place mathematics teachers' embrace of expertise, authority, and neutrality within broader perspectives on the politics of education, organizational infrastructure strategies, and tactics, resource curation, and personal safety planning. Teacher educators themselves must prepare responses to threats on their careers, lives, and families, and proactive game plans for the development of new program curricula. So this is fascinating, but not relevant to my research, so I'm just going to copy it and put it down in my treat for later, for fun, articles. The Occupy movement, emerging protest forms in contested urban spaces. So, again, not quite what I'm looking for, but it seems like it's just there's not much research, so I have to kind of, approximate what I'm looking for. And this is close, kind of. Let's see. Let's read the abstract. So this was in 2012, which was like a year after the Occupy Wall Street thing became a thing, I think. The Occupy movement represents the evolving nature of contemporary social movements. It employs traditional tactics as well as new tools of technology and alternative forms of organizing to articulate concerns. In an era of widening income inequality, blah 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 blah. Yeah, this is. I'm just gonna not include this one because while it does talk about political organizing in a specific context, it does include students, which I might end up broadening my search to include all political movements, but I have hope. The Harvard Living Wage campaign. This one does have to do with college, but not necessarily student organizing, but I'm not entirely mad about that. You know what, I'm just gonna hold on to this one. And a member of the Harvard Living Wage campaign explains its internal development. Begun in 1998, the campaign drew inspiration from the global justice movement, organized labor's reawakening, and the flowering of college anti-sweatshop groups. Locally, it responded to a decade of attacks on Harvard workers' livelihoods and unions, as well as the enactment of a living wage ordinance by the city of Cambridge. The article recounts the campaigns of organizing strategy and tactics, its oppositional relationship to the Harvard administration, and the university's response. Finally, it discusses the campaign's limited victory on wages and contracting policies, as well as its significance for campus unions, students who participated, and student labor mobilization beyond Harvard. So the key thing that's catching my eye here is the very last phrase, student labor mobilization beyond Harvard, because students are often workers on the campuses that they inhabit. That is a relevant thing to what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna hold on to that. And now we have reached the end of clearing out, well, what's this? Feminist research with student activists. Excuse you, error loading this content. Literally perish? Let's see. Yeah, this wasn't directly relevant. I think I have it copied anyway. Okay. So, now, like Sisyphus, we begin again. Oh? Sorry, did you see something? I'm
I
good.
was just saying Felix filled me in.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we begin our trial anew. You know what, let's do this one by one, just for sanity's. You see, this is the problem with linking it the way I was doing it earlier, even though this is stable. Please, when I log in, pull up the correct thing. Yes, okay, we're so back. Learning to speak, learning to listen. How diversity works on campuses. On campus. On... What's the rest of that? On campus. Okay, I guess nothing. Learning to speak, learning to listen. How diversity works on campus. So this is a book. I might just move this to other things. Okay, so this book might be relevant as I'm skimming through the introduction. It might be relevant in the sense that it looks like it is discussing a specific student organizing group. How's it going? Anyways, it looks like it's discussing a specific group called the Activists and the tactics that they used in their stuff, which might be the best I can get. When was this published though? It's not peer-reviewed, that's the problem, it's just a book. 2010. Not horrible. At predominantly white City University, 45 undergraduates of color and a few white allies formed an ad hoc group and called themselves the Activists. Fed up with the university's failure to address racial issues on campus, the Activists focused on several key concerns: the weakness of the curriculum's cultural diversity requirements, the difficult classroom climates for students of color, and the lack of racial diversity among faculty, the students' newspaper's problematic tone and content concerning race, and the student government's disrespectful treatment of racial matters. Okay, so I'm just... Let's see. I'm gonna go to site. I could use RefWorks too. So I'm going to delete this and start a new reference list. I think this will let me input notes. And again, always double check your automatic citation generators. It's a book, please. There we go. Always double check them because oftentimes they will miss, small things. And it's always good to actually know how to cite your stuff. Okay, so I can do a note right here. So I'm going to add the note that this is talking about, there we go, a specific group. I'm wondering what they mean by city university. Oh, is that the name of the university? There are many city universities. I'm sure when I read the book, it'll tell me more. You know what, just to keep this real simple, I'm just going to copy and paste this. If I was actually making a bibliography, this would not be adequate for what I'm doing. But now I can clear out that source. And I can look at the next one. So again, this is one of those things, I'm going to say this for every single article, it's not exactly what I'm looking for, but it's like around the ballpark, and it's from 2024, so it's up to date, it's recent. This one is Student to Student, a novel approach to community outreach. The abstract, community outreach is an established method for organizations to interact with the community. It is often done to help improve the community and its members by providing resources and educational opportunities. A growing crisis facing the United States of America is a worsening physician shortage, which will negatively impact many across the nation, especially vulnerable communities. The Student-to-Student organization offers a novel approach to community outreach by helping introduce and inspire high school students and young adults to pursue medicine. Actually, I'm going to nix this one just because it's talking about a specific program and not the concept of student-to-student outreach. And I could work that into my paper, but I'd be stretching, and that's never good. You don't want to like stretch a source too hard to fit your topic, because at that point you're losing some of your integrity. You can like look at it and be like, I don't know, take notes on it, learn about it, and if there is something relevant to it, then maybe you can include that, but on the first review of the abstract, it doesn't seem like there's going to be anything crazy relevant. So this would be talking about, I guess, the ways in which student activists can be useful to movements, specifically like sexual assault research, and how their inputs can be valuable, but again, it's not talking about the organizational structure that I'm looking for. Let's just read abstract. Addressing sexual assault on universities and college campuses in the United States is a national priority. To date, research on campus sexual assault overwhelmingly focuses on students as objects of study, as survivors, perpetrators, and bystanders of sexual assault. This focus has largely overlooked students who act as agents of change, mobilizing to alter campus norms around consent. So, there's more, but I could include this one under the framework of like discussing the gap in the literature, because that's also something you can do, because if you don't find research on what you're looking for, use what research you can find and say, so on this specific topic of student organizational structures, there isn't much research I could find. Most of the research looks like this, which would be true. Most of the research does look like this, where it's talking about, where it's focusing on students as agents of change and the ways in which they impact university policy, like the ways in which the policy is impacted and not necessarily the ways in which they build up to that point. So, you know, I will include this one just because I can use it to establish a gap in the literature, which, if nothing else, can be useful. Okay, note. I'm just going to write literature gap focusing on further incorporating student activists into research and policy thinking generation can benefit I guess movements broadly, even though it's not necessarily focusing on that, it's more talking about like the study itself and benefiting the quality of the study, I think. Like having their input allows you to design and research these topics better. Which is cool and is important, but not my research topic, which I think is going to be a theme from here on out. Sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to include this as the note for that. And now we can clear this one. Maybe tomorrow or later tonight I can check to see if the librarian has gotten back to me and be like, hey, any luck with your research? And what I can also do is look at other databases or do research outside of my institution, outside of East Bay. Not as in like outside of the research that East Bay has published, because we're not that fancy. It's just a state university. It's not like we have, like we do, East Bay does conduct its own independent research, but what I'm looking for is like obviously produced by like a billion different journals and research facilities. But maybe I can look at other databases outside of the ones that are offered by East Bay. The problem is there are very few of them that are like as robust as the ones that are, because obviously you're not going to find the same databases for free that you could find with a university, which is dumb. I think information should be freely accessible. So this one is one of the ones that like I think is fairly close to what I'm looking for. It is from 2012, which is like not bad. That's within the realm of what I'm looking at, which is post-internet or post-online. It still resides in a slightly different time frame in terms of the way social media has developed in the last decade. But hey, you take what you can get. Critical mass social networks and collective action, exploring student political worlds. This article explores the role of critical mass and social networks in the generation of collective action. Drawing on qualitative and quantitative social network data, the article argues that both are pivotal in the process whereby collective action takes shape. The empirical focus of the article is student politics, but it's argued that the mechanisms and dynamics identified have a much wider domain of application. So this is like, of all the articles that I've skimmed through, the absolute closest I've come to my research project. It's like, it fits pretty well. It's talking about the mechanisms and dynamics of student activism, and then the generation of collective action. So how these movements are built and how they're constructed, which is what I'm looking at. I mean, it is looking at a UK university. I'd prefer to focus on America, but like, it's fine. It's fine. It's just a literature review. We're just looking at like pre-existing literature, which is a global thing. Even if the research I'm conducting is restricted to a specific region. So, abstract and details. We already read that. But because this is interesting, I'm going to skim through. Can I download the PDF? Yes. Yippee! Love PDFs. No, go back. Accidentally clicked the link. Okay. Analyzing new empirical data, we explore the role of critical mass. Also, what I mentioned last night is that critical mass is going to be one of the keywords most likely in my research, because one of the things I'm looking at is what methods are used in student organizing to cultivate a critical mass for action to take place. And critical mass basically, I mean, it is what says on the label, like how many, there's a certain point, a certain volume or number of people that is like, that you need to be engaged in order for collective action to take place. And that is a struggle, especially on college campuses, where populations are particularly transient and often tied up in a lot of other obligations. So that's why I want to research, that's why I want to study. We are interested in the collective action constitutive of the emergent political worlds found on university campuses. So that's another thing that caught my eye, the emergent political worlds found on university campuses. Because one of the things, if you remember, that I'm looking at, or one of the ways that I am defending this as sociologically relevant, is that universities are a unique space for politics to develop, while also being intimately tied to the societies in which the universities are located. Alright, so this is all really interesting. I'm just gonna pop this into my references as a key study, because that's what I got so far. You see what's doing as I add things is it's automatically doing this, which is cool and neat. I have to do the title. Alright, black inside manually. It's fine. I'll give you one more time. Yoink into DOI. There. See if that works. There we go. So I'm just going to put key study so that I remember that this one was one of the really interesting ones. And now I get to slowly move through the rest of them. So the next one is features of meaningful orientations of student activists as a component of hardiness. I should probably plug my computer. Right, sorry. Here we go. Here's the plug. Let's see. So, features of meaningful orientations of student activists as a component of hardiness. This one's not going to be super relevant because it's talking more about, like, I'm just going to assume, based on the title, that it's focusing on the ways that student activists situate themselves within their college campuses and the impacts that has on their resilience as students, like how much it impacts how long they stay in school or how well they respond to certain pressures, which is cool, but not relevant for me. Unless I want to use it to establish the importance of understanding this topic from the university side, because, like, hey, if you better understand student engagement as a way to build student retention, maybe I could use it from that angle. Belonging to groups of students who are or are not activists of student government is determined by the degree of involvement as a component of resilience. Student self-government should be considered as a kind of social management, a special form of active, independent, relatively autonomous activity of students. Their inclusion in the processes of adoption and practical implementation of managerial decisions on student life In the course of self-government, students realize their needs and interests. Today, the problem of organizing it on the ground is particularly topical, and a wide range of studies of student self-government is conducted. In modern psychological and pedagogical literature, pedagogical, by the way, refers to like the study of education, the study of teaching. Student self-government is viewed as a social phenomenon, a social institution, as a factor of development of leadership qualities and becoming a future specialist. In the context of the problems analyzed, historical aspects and lessons for the present are studied. General theoretical basis of self-government development in educational institutions are analyzed. The citation threw me out there. The essence, specificity, and content of the formation of school and student self-government are revealed. Organizational forms of student self-government are studied. I guess I can use this. In order to organize student government effectively, it is necessary to study personality characteristics of young people participating in student self-government, including their meaningful orientations, hardiness, and involvement. So the reason why I'm kind of like, I guess, is because when I developed my research questions, I kind of did it with the idea in my mind reflecting on the student activist organizations that I have participated in, which have largely been autonomous, more anarchist art organizing rather than student government, like ASI type thing, where you are like you run for office or you are elected in, and you have like regular meetings the with the heads of your school, with your school president or whatever, and you like have access to funding and stuff through the university. I was more focused on grassroots organizing. That doesn't have to be. Like I didn't specify that, so like I could just include that. I guess for now, I will cite that one. So I'm gonna plug this in. Oh, we need someone to like subscribe or follow me so that you guys can hear the. Wait, do I hear the noise that stream alerts make? Or is it only the people watching the stream? I guess that's a question for Rain, because I don't watch or use Twitch. I would assume the streamer would hear it. I would guess. But would you guys hear it because you're on Discord? I don't know. Anyways, I made it laugh. Like a little creepy gnome laugh. So I'm just reading through the introduction real quick. Like, I don't really care about the development of leadership qualities. I'm just going to copy and paste this sentence, because that summarizes it fairly well. And keep in mind, I'm not going to like plug this into my paper, it's just copied and pasted, obviously. Plagiarism, blah, blah, blah. You gotta write things in your own words. This is just for my own records that, like, I scroll through all these things, and I'm like, oh, that's what this one means. You can look at the note. You can be like, oh, that's why I include that in my thing. It doesn't need to be hella fancy. Also, because this assignment doesn't require bibliography, so I don't need to turn in these notes. Although if I did, this would be a helpful, like, jumping off points to develop notes off of. One more article down. Social networks and student activism on the politicizing effects of campus connections. This is one of the other ones that like kind of runs close to what I'm looking at. I keep getting Discord notifications. I don't know where they're coming from. I know where they're coming from. Fozzie! I think
It's true. He was sitting under my desk and really wanted my tamale.
he looks like a graham cracker with marshmallow melted on it.
It's true. Jackson, I say that like his eyes and his little darker bits are like burnt marshmallow.
True. Now I want marshmallow.
Yeah,
You hate me. Can't believe you would make me hungry for marshmallow.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so let's read the abstract of this. I hope this is interesting, or at the very least, good background noise for you guys to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally like shaving my eyebrow right now.
Yippee! Oh god, I'm tired. I think I can submit this video for to my professor and be like, I promise I've been working on this. I just happened to select a kind of difficult research question, I guess. And also decided to make this a whole thing where I read out elements of the papers I'm looking at. Ooh, multi-organizational fields and recruitment to social movements. I might yoink that. Ah, it's from 1989. Ah, because normally I wouldn't mind too much in this stage of the research about the date. Like, the ones that you cite in your paper, you want to be the most recent as possible. But in terms of developing a groundwork and an understanding for myself on which I can better research future things, because I could also look up like what articles cite this article, and I might find more recent stuff. But the reason why this is like at this stage in the research is because recruitment to social movements from like 1990 to 2024 are massively different. Like, so much has changed in the past 30 years. Is that 30? Yeah, holy shit, that's 30 years. Guys, it's been 30 years since the 90s. That's wild. But maybe I could incorporate this as like a, hey, let's look at the history of how they used to recruit it and contrast it with how recruitment is currently done. Maybe that could even be a keyword I can look into, recruitment and student activism. So back to the first paper, social networks and student activism, blah, blah. In the first part of this paper, I present original survey data, which suggests that the transition from further to higher education, or more specifically the process of becoming a university student, has a politicizing effect upon some students. In particular, university students are more likely than their sixth form. Oh, this is fucking British, isn't it? Sixth form. Yeah. United Kingdom's cringe. Counterparts to engage in some forms of protest activity associated with social movements. This holds even during periods when levels of social movement mobilization are low, both on and off campus. Now that's interesting. Basically, it's saying that university students compared to what I assume high school students, I assume high school is sixth form, university students are more likely than high school students to have engaged in some form of protest activity, even when across the board there's a lower level of protest engagement, like in general society. I would be interested in seeing how much of that is due to the fact that once you become an adult, you are more able to engage in protest activity because you typically have more autonomy over your own schedule and getting to and from places, and you are also stepping into your own in terms of developing your own opinions. I wonder if that's not necessarily an effect of the university, but rather an effect of becoming an adult. So I would want this study to also compare them to both level of education and comparing university students to peers of the same age demographic who are not in university. But blah 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 blah. Outline an alternative which focuses on campus-based social networks. Okay. Interesting. Okay. This could be relevant, but because, let's see, when was this published? Oh, 2008, not too far. Oh, I was looking at the other one. This one was from the 90s, or the 80s. You know, I'll bite. This one is kind of interesting. It is this recruitment activity which is greatly enhanced by the network structure of campus life, which explains the politicizing effects of campus life. I haven't read the study, so I'm not going to say that they're wrong. I would just argue that I'm not sure that is sufficient to be the sole explanatory factor of how politicizing campus life is. I do think it's interesting. Like, basically what they're saying is that universities tend to host social networks of activists that create like kind of a revolving door where students are continually recruited in and then turn to recruit other people into political action, which I do think would be interesting and relevant to my research topic, because one of the things I pointed out is how the structure of university campuses is unique from other organizational spaces, specifically because they have that very narrow revolving door of incoming and outgoing students. So, you know, we'll pop that one in there. Again, it's not quite what I'm looking for. I need to copy and paste the name, or I can do this. But, you know, you get what you can get. Okay, so what did I just say? Okay, the unique elements. So the note that I'm putting here is social networks on universities as a recruitment method, unique structures of universities versus other organizational spaces. So what I would do if I actually incorporate this into my literature review would be I would pair this with maybe a study on non-university recruitment techniques. So I'm just reading this. Nothing's really catching my eye right there. Now we move on to the next one. We still have almost 3/4 of a page to go. How many sources have we actually grabbed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This is a prime example of why I turn everything in late. We're only required to do a literature review that incorporates 6 articles. I'm not even halfway through the amount of articles that I set aside in my first round of research, and these were all in relation to my first question. Like, I haven't even started researching, because honestly, I think that's such a niche topic that I don't know if there's any pre-existing research that would be relevant. I'm still gonna look, because you gotta look. But the last question, if you remember, do I remember? Let's find out. It's about carceral infrastructure. How accessible is information in student activist spaces on the ways in which broader socioeconomic pressures such as budget development, emerging social movements, and new economic opportunities influence the development of carceral infrastructure and practices in their immediate area? So that is hyper-specific for a research question, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can have very specific research questions. When it comes to the literature review, I would have to back up like 3 or 4 steps to find research that's relevant to this. Maybe I can just look at research that establishes a link between socioeconomic pressures and the development of carceral infrastructure, because that should be well researched. But I'm not even halfway through my first pass on this for my first question, and I'm already almost at the minimum, technically maximum. My professor's kind of strict on going overboard on stuff, which I appreciate because he's based, but also sucks for me as a student because of how I am. Communicating through cyberfeminism, communication strategies for the construction of the international feminist strike in Portugal. So this is from 2023, which is hella recent, and also I thought it was interesting, like cyberfeminism communication strategies, because one of the things I want to look at is how do organizations utilize like the digital space and digital techniques to conduct outreach and recruit people to get involved. Oh, it seems like we have a question in the suggestion box.
It's true. And Julian was very rude about it.
I'll give him detention for not being in the stream.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. God, I'm EP tired.
Oh my god, you see what he said? Holy shit. Holy shit. My god. I could easily give you this, Father. Okay. Yes, and Dad, what do you do? Oh, okay.
Okay. Communication through cyberfeminism. Communication strategies for the construction of the international feminist strike in Portugal. So, this is not... I don't know if this is going to be specific enough to what I'm looking for, because I don't see a mention of students necessarily, but it's talking about communication strategies. However, the other mark is that it's talking specifically about Portugal, which is a little bit out of my range of what I'm looking at. But again, as I mentioned earlier, literature reviews don't have to be restricted to your immediate area. It would just be preferable to have things that are more closely related to the population that I will be conducting research on, which is specifically Californian students, but like broadly American students. Despite the considerable attention given to how mainstream media portrays feminism, oh, I have one viewer. I wonder who that is. Oh, it's Rain. Hello, Rain. I'm assuming it has this on in the background and is doing other stuff. Sleepy. So, despite the considerable attention given to how mainstream media portrays feminism and social movements, there remains a notable research gap regarding the exploration of how these movements themselves engage in internal articulation and employ communication strategies to connect with their publics. Which is exactly what I'm looking at, is how these movements, for me it's specifically about student movements, but this paper is looking at feminist and social movements broadly. But this specific phrase, how they engage in internal articulation and employ communication strategies. That's what I want to know, but I want to apply that to students. To examine communication practices of cyberfeminists within the fourth wave of feminism and the 8M movement, feminist strike, this study analyzes the communication platforms utilized by Rede 8 Democro, which which mobilizes the strike in Portugal in 3 dimensions. 1. Institutional and internal communication. 2. Content production for online dissemination on digital platforms. And 3. Mobilization strategies and action repertoires. Specifically, we focus on the years 2000 and 2001, considering the pandemic context using a combination of ethnography and semi-structured interviews with organizing activists. Our findings indicate a significant rise in Instagram's platform utilization and exploration, concomitant with the establishment of WhatsApp as a central tool for both organizational and internal communication. These observations enhance our scholarly grasp of the intricate communication dynamics inherent in these organizational contexts and feminist movements, thereby offering significant contributions to our understanding of its operational mechanisms. So I am reaching the 8-article limit, but the cool thing is, I don't particularly care about following assignment directions. I care about doing this well. And sometimes doing something well requires doing a little bit of extra work. So I might not actually use all of these in my literature review, but I'm going to note this down as one of my articles to look at. What I'm going to do is So the note that I'm putting down is that it examines utilization of online communication platforms for recruitment, organizing, and information dissemination, feminist movement in Portugal. So at the very least, this could be something that I could reference in my literature review, as we don't have research on how student organizations specifically use online networks for outreach, but if we look at parallel social movements, such as the feminist movement in Portugal, we see that they use it in this way. And maybe this will inform my research, as in I can look at, do student organizations utilize these platforms in the same way, or do they do it differently? Like, you can build your research according to what is available. That's kind of how academia and research works. You look at what's out there, and that informs how you construct your research. One more down. Yippee! No justice, no peace. And this is no spelled with a K, K-N-O-W, which I think is fun. I love when people get, a little creative with their article titles. It's fun. That's a good fucking title. It's like, I see you. I see you, authors. Reflections from a community-based action research collective. So again, this is looking at a specific research project. Wondering, like this one I might just read for fun on my own. Let's see. So this one would be in the same lines as the last article that I looked at, but a little bit to the left. Because whereas the last article did look at something directly in my research question, which is methods used for outreach, this one not only doesn't focus on student activists, but also doesn't necessarily focus on organizational structure or outreach. It's focusing on the barriers to organizing. Okay, I'll just read out part of it. It explores theoretical frameworks deriving from healing justice, transformative movement organizing, trauma-informed and healing-centered methodologies, and emergent strategy that propose critical analysis and apply tools to advance individual and community wellness and healing, as well as restorative organizing models and alternative organizational structures for values alignment in the daily operations of social justice-oriented community organizations. So this is somewhat relevant in that it does talk about the daily operations and the structure of like social movements, social community organizations, or social justice community organizations, which is similar, but it's kind of specifically looking about like the concepts of healing, well-being, and justice, which are important but not relevant necessarily to what I'm looking at. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into I'm just going to read this for fun on my own time, because it does look interesting. And that is good for me to know as a community organizer and activist who is in the disability activism space. Because, I mean, it is also specifically focused on disability activism. And on to the next one. Yippee! Organizing 21st Century Activism, From Structure to Strategy in Latin American Social Movements. It's from 2020, so it's particularly recent, but it's also one of those things where it's like, not only is this not like specific to students, it's also not American-based, and a lot of important research is not done in America. Research is a global field. However, I would really love to look at the way that it manifests in American social movements, because those are more likely to be present on universities than Latin American social movements. At least more likely to be present on American universities than, and vice versa. Like, you wouldn't necessarily see the same type of American social movements present in Latin American universities as you would see on American universities. But you know, I think I'm just going to include it. Let's look at the abstract. This article examines how the organizational structure of a social movement affects the tactics it is likely to adopt. Hybrid movements gained prominence at the start of the 21st century. Like movements of the past, they protested on the streets, but unlike the movements of the past, they also acted like interest groups by lobbying government over policy. Considered through the lens of traditional scholarship, this phenomenon presents a puzzle. Loose networks of activists are thought to be good at contentious politics, but incapable of negotiating with the government. By contrast, federations of interest groups are seen to be good at insider lobbying, but subject to co-optation. This article theorizes the middle ground between social movements and interest groups by proposing a third structure for social movement organizing, the federative coalition, which incorporates some of the advantages of hierarchy while avoiding some of its pitfalls. The article illustrates this argument through a case study of Brazil's AIDS movement. Also, I do think it's funny that they're calling a federative coalition as a new structure for social movement. I guess they're not really saying no, but like, federative coalitions are not, at least in the leftist organizing space, a new topic. But you know, it's fine. It's interesting. I'm just scrolling through right now. You know what, I could incorporate this as a citation specifically to deal with the organizational structure component of what I'm looking at, because it's relevant, particularly in the sense that cross-campus organizing and collective bargaining with university campuses is like a thing. You know, I can include that. Oh, I forgot I can't keep getting the URL because that's specific to my university login. No, I'm just finding my summary. So, impact of organizational structure on tactics, federative, coalition. I'm just going to put Brazil AIDS because that's the focus. And we have cleared out another article. Yippee! Now we move on to the next one. Gamers, I have a question. Should I get up and have some crackers and cheese? I could also have an apple and cheese. There we go. Okay. I will be right back. Okay, would you like some crackers and cheese and an apple?
Hey, can we stop putting dishes to the side of the sink when the sink is full? Oh, it almost tastes like good too.
Am I
can't
the
hear
only one
them
that can't hear
either.
Ray right now?
But
Oh, are they?
that's kind of what I assumed. Yes. Let me see.
Yeah. Perfect. Faye.
What? Did we ever get cinnamon? I don't know. I never did.
I
Yeah.
matched with someone that also likes Garfield.
Yeah.
Oh, you already
saw-
replied. Yeah. We will see how it goes. I kind of
Yeah.
I followed them on Insta because they had their Insta thing on there, and we have like a well, like I looked them up first, and then I accidentally impulsively viewed their story, and then I was like, oh shit, wait, they're gonna see that I viewed their story. So I was like, oh, why not? Like they publicly posted it on their.
It's true.
We have a mutual
Mhm.
friend, which is interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
For years.
What do they look like?
I might have got too quirky with it.
Oh no.
Cause,
No.
Cause I wrote, we were talking about the Garfield movie,
Yeah.
and I replied, and I was like, I asked them how they felt about it, and they're like, I hate Chris Pratt, and I was like, I hate him too. I think he definitely had some dirt on everyone in Hollywood or something. Grr, and then angry face.
Yeah.
I think I might have got too quirky.
No, you're not being quirky. You're being you. If they can't handle that, that's their problem, Felix.
I get too excited talking about Garfield.
You can never be too excited talking about Garfield.
I feel like I need to watch the movie again because like I need to like fully comprehend the Garfield universe because I'm still like not over the fact that there's cat like community service and it's like
Yeah.
run by like real humans.
Yeah.
So like I just wonder how like that universe functions, because they can obviously talk to animals because they have a phone translation app for the animals. So I don't know why they're not treating them like humans.
Perhaps, do you need a second opinion on the Garfield movie? The
What?
Garfield movie?
Yeah, does somebody want to talk about the Garfield movie with me, please?
I haven't seen it, but I was suggesting that we watch it at
I
some
don't want to
point.
watch it again.
You just said you wanted to.
Yeah, but as like on my own time, so I don't subjugate anyone else to that damn
It's
movie.
more fun with
Obviously,
people, but whatever,
we should
bro.
make it into
Suffer alone.
a drinking game.
You got muffled.
We should make it into a drinking game.
Yes, that would be so fun. Getting into my granny nightgown right now.
Yippee!
It's very comfy, very soft.
Awesome. Is it one of those gowns with a big nightcap and you go?
No, I don't have a nightcap, but I should get one.
Hello. I'm back. Did you miss me?
I can.
Huh?
Oh my gosh! That does look like a little
It is
nightgown.
a nightgown.
You do look like you need a candle.
And
Love that.
it has pockets.
Do you have? You need.
Huh?
It's true.
Oh, that's cute.
I
That's
have
a
a.
feng
Yeah, thank you so
shui
much.
outfit.
Ray has seen one of my other nightgowns, which has like cats on it. It's more of a Nana nightgown because my Nana used to wear stuff like that.
You're wearing your Nana's nightgowns?
No.
How so sustainable.
That's hella cute.
I know technically I've thrifted all of my nightgowns, but it looks almost exactly how she used to wear, or what she used to wear. I mean, she's
That's
still alive, but
awesome. Oh,
this is the pattern. There's little
Ooh, that's
sleeping
so
kitties on it.
cute.
Yeah, and
Nice.
then this one,
Ooh.
Jax and I went to Walmart a while back. This is actually my first one. Jax and I went to Walmart a while back, and we found these 90s, or these like long, they're like kind of like really long dress shirts. With this one, mushrooms and stuff on it. But yeah, I like wearing nightgowns. Very comfy. This one I can only wear when it's cold, because it's like a hot material.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
That's so cool. I don't
Thank
think I could
you.
ever, like, I feel like it would get scrunched up in bed. Does it not?
Um, I don't I don't remember. It depends. Um, who's true? Okay. Like I guess they usually like bunch up above my hips, I think. But like I don't I by that time I'm asleep, so yeah.
Wow, okay. So I had a little bit of apple and peanut butter and some crackers and some cheese. It's wild.
I also had apple and peanut butter.
Hell yeah. Um, I've discovered
Mhm.
something that humankind has never known before. Apparently, when you eat after a day
Oh,
of not eating, it like you feel a lot better.
yeah, it's true.
That's just
I've also
wild.
discovered this.
Sorry, I'm still eating.
Yeah, no worries. I have two succulents of the same kind. They're called lithops, or like living stones. And the
Ooh.
one that I have had for the longest, it's flowering, and
Oh,
I've never had one flower, and it's never flowered before, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like.
you gotta show us
But
pictures.
yeah, yeah. I took a picture of it this morning. I think it's not bloomed yet, but
By
I'll
the way,
put one in the chat.
if you ever like want a specific type of houseplant or a rare one, I can talk to the houseplant guy at my work, and he does the ordering for it. I can like, and I think there are a couple people on our staff who also like sell plants on the side, like just themselves. So I could probably source you some cool stuff for a good price.
I don't really have room for more plants right now, but
Knock
if
out
I
your
were to
window.
buy more, yeah, it's true. I do need more pots though, like, but yeah, I don't know, because I have a few cacti that are just in their plastic still. Um, but yeah,
I will
I'm
get you
sorry.
pots.
I, to be fair, my Nana got them for me. She got me like a ton of plants without really asking, and it was just a little bit overwhelming. And also, I like to pick out my plants, and like she meant well, but yeah, I
You
didn't
know,
really
I'm
like
always telling customers at
it.
work that like, hey, they come in and they're like, what's a good plant I can get as a gift for someone who gardens? I'm like, babes, the best gift you can get is gardening
Yeah,
supplies or soil or like something decorative, because a plant is work, and also like it could be likely that that plant doesn't fit into their interest. Like unless you know, like unless there's someone who like
yeah,
grows roses, exclusively roses. Like first of all, I have no idea what they like. They could be
yeah. And what if
houseplants, they
they
could be the
don't have
shrubs.
room for more roses
Yeah, they
too?
might not have
Like,
room. They might already have that variety. They might not like that type of rose for some reason. Like, give them a gift card. You can do that.
yeah, like I like picking out my plants and having an attachment to them, and like since she ordered them like all online, and it's
Um,
like I've grown an attachment to them, but at the same time, I still feel like a disconnect. It's dumb, but like,
no, I get you. There's
uh,
something different. Okay, I'm getting one more factor and then I'll start yapping again.
and I just
Any
didn't feel
final words?
mentally prepared to take care of like 6 new plants.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot.
Bug, how's that plant doing on the kitchen windowsill?
It's so dead. It is dying.
I fucking told you.
So
I knew
bad.
it.
Why did Trader Joe's basil always fucking
Okay, okay.
die so quick?
The reason why. There are multiple reasons why. First of all, they're being sold at a grocery store, which means
True.
that their primary use is literally just like to have fresh herbs for a week, and then the plants can die. Same, even at Home Depot, your plants are most likely going to die because they're usually massively overwatered. The substrate or the soil that they're in tends to be pretty poor because it's cheap. And also, the people who are working there, both at the grocery store and at Home Depot, usually don't have the resources or the means to actually take care of these plants. Like, at my job at the nursery, we fertilize them, we like trim them, we prune them, we like, we take care of the individual plants to the best of our ability. But like, a grocery store does not have the means to do it. Also, grocery stores don't have the right sunlight for those plants. They're not even getting the right amount of light that they need. And oftentimes they're diseased. They have pests on them, or they're like already suffering from root rot. The pots are too small for the size of the plant that they're
Yeah.
selling. They are horrible places for pests to like spread. That's why you should always quarantine your plants when you get them from like a box store. You should always quarantine them from the rest of your plants before you integrate them. Um,
Also,
it's a
I
scam.
noticed some of the succulents at Alden Lane were overwatered. Just saying.
I'll take it up with the
I
bedding
think it was
department.
during the. It's true. I mean, this was a while ago. This was back when I visited your work, and then you forcefully bought a plant for me. So, yeah.
I don't remember that. I'm not gonna
Um,
lie. What plant was it?
which well, I think it was another lithop, another succulent. But what was I gonna say? It's when I brought you that coffee that spilled in my car. Yeah, I still
Equivalent
haven't cleaned
exchange.
it. um, it's in the back seat, so I never see it.
Hmm. No, I need to
Anyway,
vacuum my car so bad.
um, yeah.
Okay,
The
everyone.
plant's doing well though, but when I first got it, I noticed that the outer leaves that it had split out of, like were really mushy, and that means that they were taking on too much water. So I just took them off, and even though you're not supposed to take off the leaves of lithops, I knew it was just gonna rot if I left it there. And it's
What?
doing well.
Can
It
I ask
actually
what?
split again, so it was pretty sick.
Can I ask what time of year this was? Was this winter?
It was this year.
So winter?
It was a rainy season.
Or
Yeah.
what was it in? Was it in the succulent section or the indoor plant section?
Succulent outdoors.
Yeah, it's probably the rain then.
Yeah. I know, I just wanted to be what do you mean 1 year, auntie? Shut up, Felix. Oh my god. No, but it's so funny though.
You're so right.
You can see when I first got this plant, it hadn't split yet, and so the leaves you're looking at right now are actually the new leaves. And when it was first splitting, I kept sending Jax update pictures, and and he was like, "No, it's so scary because it doesn't. It looks wrong."
Where'd it go?
That's a fucking plant. What do you mean, Jack?
No, it didn't look like that when it hasn't flowered before, so it didn't look like that and it was splitting. It looked like it was like progressively, opening more and more. Okay, here, let me find a picture.
Thank you.
It was so silly. Hold on, and I have to scroll. Hold on.
Okay, so are we all ready? We're all gonna buckle down and learn about moral development of college students. Okay.
Okay, so Felix, I found in the my Jackson and I's chat this was like months apart. This was the oh shoot, what the hell? Why is it doing it like that? Hold on, give me a second. It's being dumb.
It is almost 9, so I'm gonna keep going with the research.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah. So I'm gonna discard this one, just because, like, it is more closely relevant. However, like in terms of location, because it's in Massachusetts. However, it's focusing more on the development of like moral action and the concept of morality, which interesting. Not what I'm talking about. Okay, we're down to 5 more articles in this first round of research. I'm going to discard this one right away because, again, this is focusing on the psychological and academic outcomes of student activists, not on the organizational structure of activism itself.
Ew, it was like showing hole. Gross.
Huh? Oh, that's cool.
Brainy. Ew.
But I love him. Stop.
To be
He's
so mean
beautiful.
to your succulent transition photos.
Oh my god. Holy moly. Sorry, Bug. I'm sorry, Ray. I'll mute again.
Good chillin', I'm just reading abstracts. But yeah, so this one I'm going to pull just because it is also talking about, bro is typing away.
Yeah, my friend was asking about some of the funeral service stuff, so.
Yeah, type away. Let's see.
Let me mute my shelf then.
I'm gonna pull this one because this sentence right here. As a field, higher education frequently assumes the lived experiences of undergraduate students, such as participating in student activism, are automatically experiential learning opportunities. However, there is a lack of research focusing and featuring students' voices on the matter. That's relevant. Forgot. But I can't cite that. So, even though this is a dissertation, that's not what I was looking at. So even though this is a dissertation, I'm not as worried about it because I've already met the 6 peer-reviewed studies criteria, I think. At the very least, I certainly will by the time I'm done with this. I have to cite manually. You hate me. God, how dystopian. Citing ChatGPT. I swear to fucking God. I'm trying to think of if I care enough to include this. Oh, did we lose someone? Bug. Farewell. I hope he's back soon.
We lost Bug.
He may have disconnected by accident, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Well, I guess we can go through this process. This is how you manually cite something. So I'm pulling it as a thesis right there. Then put the title. This isn't. I don't really consider this manual necessarily because it is kind of a little bit automatic because it like tells you what categories to put everything in. But you know, you can just like copy and paste stuff. But you do have to like input everything yourself. Scheinberg, Michaela, and here I can put the last name. If there was a title like doctor or something like that, you'd put that in. What type of dissertation is this? Let's find out. Let's look at the full text PDF. So a doctor of philosophy dissertation. So I'm just going to put PhD dissertation. The year submission was 2022. The university was the University of Florida, I believe. Florida State University. DY. Oh, I remember reading through this earlier, the other day. Does it have a DOI? Not seeing one. I mean, it's optional. So I'm going to download the PDF. And then move to it from the original thing. And what was my annotation that I was going to add? This first sentence. See, this is an example where you can't always trust the automated thing, because I know for a fact this absolutely had some authors and a date that I could pull. But, just for the organizational process, I'm not going to put this directly into my paper. We're just going to leave it there. But that's an example of how automated citation generators aren't the most reliable thing in the world. So we are down 2, 3 more papers. Progress is being made, yippee. U.S. college student activism during an era of neoliberalism, a qualitative study of students against sweatshops. Sorry, I'm eating an apple. Apples are like bangers, by the way.
You should not apologize for eating.
I'm so
And
sorry,
also,
Poopies.
I'm allergic to apples. I can't believe you.
One thing that annoyed the crap out of me when I was in 5th grade was, besides my 5th grade teacher being horrible, one of the horrible things he did was he would snack throughout class. And I remember him doing one thing where he would like eat a banana, and then one time he was talking about why he was snacking and eating bananas. He would just talk about those random shit, and like talk about how his dad was in the fucking war and stuff like that. He would read us fucking shit we didn't need to know, like read us whatever Civil War history book he was reading. But the point is, is that he would fucking like lecture us with a chunk of banana in his cheek. It's like, dude, I don't want to hear you talk with food in your mouth.
I'm gonna do that
No,
this
it's
entire
fine. I
stream.
can't stand it. My fucking roommate would do that too, and they would talk when they were eating like Chipotle. I'd be like, dude, close your fucking mouth. Like that's gross.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
yeah, and he made kids cry too. So, and he gave so much homework. It was, oh my god, it was horrible. It was awful. Yeah,
Oof, I'm sorry.
yeah. I could go on, but you're busy. So anyway,
I guess this could be relevant, but again, it's more of a psychological, like personal reflection. Also, it's from Australia. But this one was interesting. Being a contemporary student activist requires advanced time management skills and the capacity to ascribe multiple meanings to activities. For example, hanging out and doing activism simultaneously. The emphasis on using one's time wisely resonates with students who are surrounded by the language of neoliberal reform. By analyzing how students prioritize activism, outreach to new members, and develop friendships, and position themselves as part of an international network, I show that student activism is influenced by the neoliberal environment at Beautiful River University. At the same time, as student activists are working to resist and counter such practices. So, that's pretty interesting. I'll incorporate that. Because it's talking a little bit about how the specific elements of being on a college campus, like the neoliberal reform language that's often permeating college campuses, how that influences how students like conceptualize their work and negotiate action. I swear to fucking God, if he keeps doing this, I'm going to go sicko mode. Please, please, please. There we go. One of the things that caught my eye about this abstract is the ways in which students ascribe multiple meanings to activities. Because I think this is true both within and outside of the university context. the ways in which activists in community organizing basically multitask with their work, like integrating social hangout sessions, kind of like this, with activist work, like making art for Palestine is both a social and creative outlet as well as a political thing, which is kind of critical, both in terms of sustaining and building a movement, because it's a great way to get people on board to begin engaging in further action, as well as maximizing what little time you have available to you. Wait, U.S. college student activism, but this is from the Australian educational researcher? Oh, where's the beautiful River University? Also, God, imagine going to university there. Oh, huh. It's in Sacramento. Is it? Huh. Well, don't have time to look more into that, so I'm just gonna move on. It could also just be a study based in America that was published in an Australian journal, because that's also like a thing that can happen. Oh. I think this is one that I already cited, did I? No. It was one of the ones I was looking at the beginning of the stream. So I'm just going to yoink you, get the title, go here, please pull it up, thank you, 1997 or 1977. This is not a journal article, I'm sorry. I guess it doesn't really have a pamphlet option. Let's see. It was published by the Youth Liberation Press. So maybe I can incorporate it as like a newspaper article. Resources and education. Is this a journal? Looks like it might be a journal. Oh, it's just a database. Maybe I'll put it under books. Yeah, it's a non-journal. Okay. Now it's time to manually cite this again. Again, the publisher. God, I'm getting sleepy. We're almost done. We're down to one more.
Should
Sorry, what was that?
go to eat.
Yeah, but we gotta talk after this. Although I guess Bug's not here anymore. Should we wait until a time when Bug's also here?
Yeah.
That's okay. We can just relay the information anyways.
Okay. So the last article I'm looking at is the Harvard Living Wage Campaign, Origins and Strategy. So I'm just gonna pop this one in as like a. It has to do with the ways in which universities can uniquely be used for political organizing, and also the ways in which previous movements have implications for former, like earlier ones. By the way, research tip. You can like, okay, first of all, if you find a meta-analysis or a systemic literature review, I think it's sometimes called, you've struck gold. Because basically what those do is, I wish I had an example on Hinge. It does what it says on the tin. It takes a step back and analyzes the entire existing literature pool. Maybe not the entire, but a large portion. And they will usually specify which databases they use, the methods that they used to search for articles, etc., etc. And it will summarize and contextualize and connect a lot of those. And those are great places to look for further information. Like there have been meta-analyses on trans healthcare, showing that has a very low regret rate, like around 1 to 2% maximum across the board. And what that kind of does is it controls a little bit for the individual errors of any one study by comparing as many studies as possible across the board. And those can be hella useful. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any on this, but what else you can do is look at the citations for individual articles. Like I might do that for that other article that I found that was really close to my research topic. I might look at what they're citing, and that could give me some ideas on other directions I can look in for my research. Okay, so I got 11 sources. Just 5 more sources that I need. I don't particularly care. Okay. Thought I needed enough. This is due tomorrow. I haven't even started the actual literature review portion. But I think I'm just gonna cap it off there because I'm tired. I'm so very sleepy, and we have stuff to yap about. So, thank you guys for joining me. I hope it's been interesting.
Yeah.
I will upload this when I remember for those of you who missed it. Hope you're having a good day. Bye.